Alright, we should be back. Test. Alright, good. Yeah, basically, whenever my internet drops, even for a tenth of a second, OBS decides, oh, we disconnected. Well, rip stream, and then it tries to reconnect, but fails, and then I have to close it completely, and then restart it, and then restart the stream. I still think, even if Raynor was there, maybe Hanzo dies. We can go back one more time, just to see. Does Raynor have his trait charged up? So he doesn't have his trait charged up. How close is he? Because if he's one auto attack away, that's still just as good. No. Okay, so Raynor was 2 auto attacks away from his trait being charged, which means that I think his auto attack W auto attack Q still would not be enough damage to kill the Hanzo. Maybe the slow might have secured the kill, but that's pretty edge case kind of thing. Because this is what, 1200 HP? And 2 auto attacks plus a Q. The slow would be procced, so the Q is 800 or 900 damage. It'd be pretty close, but I don't think it would quite kill the Hanzo. But yeah, it would have just been better if Raynor was in range for the engage. Because something went very wrong for Liquid, where your tank walks up to throw in a Hanzo, and your team isn't able to follow up on it. Isn't in position to follow up on it. Interrupt him with QE? No, he was never in range to do that. Hanzo kiting down. I mean, if he was like all the way down here, he could have. But if you're on the same line as where Hanzo's jumping, it's somewhat possible to interrupt with your Q. But if you're at an angle like this, it's impossible. Pretty much impossible. It's too fast. Hanzo didn't even use his ult to peel for himself. Like right here, as soon as Hanzo gets thrown, as soon as the CC wears off, he could just ult to stun all these people for a half second. And that, again, that would have kept his HP even higher, so. So, what I was talking about before the stream crashed, for a second, was Hero's Hearth could have tried to push down this fort before they get the shots, and that would have gotten them 2 more shots, but that's not enough to win the game. So they decided, instead of taking that risk, where they could overextend in this 5v4, trying to auto-attack this fort with their Hanzo, and get punished, they just take the shots. Team Liquid at 3 HP is still 1 cap or 1 boss away from losing, or 1 camp. So there's not a real difference between 3 HP and 1 HP. And then when Team Liquid sees this, that both of the caps have been capped, they just leave the fort and they sacrifice it. Because then, at this point, it's too risky for them to just sit there and try and hold it. If Hero's Hearth was pushing it earlier before the caps went down, they would try and stall the push at the very least, because Team Liquid does lose if 2 forts die. And if they just give this fort away for free, and Hero's Hearth runs at this fort, and maybe even suicides fort with 1 hero capping, maybe they could lose the game. That'd be pretty insane, but it could be possible. So they gave away that fort. Hero's Hearth has an option to either try and push the camp in, which is really hard, into Leeming, Raynor, Blaze, Garrosh, though the Garrosh is a little bit delayed to getting here. This minion wave was stalled long enough, though. Garrosh is just going to be here. Alright, so they're going to try and push in the camp. Doesn't work. They are still in position. If they tried to push this fort down, Team Liquid would probably take back this fort at the same time. So, instead, they kind of try to push the camp in, and then they're going to defend this fort as 4, with a level 16 Hanzo with Pierce, wave clear, while Dahaka gets split value still. Should a new Globe quest have been finished sooner? I don't know. He wasn't really sitting in lanes, so I have no idea. It's not something you even think about finishing the quest on. Or you shouldn't, because then you just kill yourself trying to get globes, as we have seen a lot before. Alright, so here's this spawn. With control at this point, the chokes for Team Liquid to get to the cap are a lot more limited. Hanzo's getting good poke on them here. And then White Main is proceeding to heal it all. Because, I mean, like, right here, if we go through right here, even back a little bit further. So this one W here did 1,000, 1,500 damage. And then the second W on Blaze, plus the other damage, did maybe 2,000, 2,500 damage. And sure, that even more. 4,000 damage, 5,000 damage. But that's also the same amount of healing for the white main, because she heals it all. Team Liquid, the Lost Viking strat, it was pretty well executed. Again, getting caught and taunted. This time Tyrande in range to cleanse it, though. Okay, so this time he allows himself to get thrown because Tyrande is mounted and is able to get in range to cleanse the taunt. Very balanced, level 1 talent, cleansing a 50-second cooldown ultimate, or anything even larger than that. There's no way Team Liquid stacks the CC with the cleanse. There's 2 charges of it anyway, even if Blaze perfectly timed his charge with the first cleanse. So they're focusing on Anub. I think Anub also gets his W off before he gets thrown. So he has a lot of spell armor on the initial damage. So ends up taking very little damage here. And now that's suddenly Garrosh throw, ult on cooldown. White main also... Why does a white main ult here? Or did I pause right as she ults? Okay, so she ults right as the ISO is coming in, and the Anubrak Q. But that's a lot of big cooldowns down, including laser, which is the only way they really killed the cocoon. And Anub still has his burrow. And he has rewind. And there's still a Hanzo ult, there's still a Dahaka flank, and a Maiev flank. And they don't want to engage while the white main ult is down, so they just let that be wasted. So they did cocoon. So with the 2 for 2 plus the laser ult trade, not great, but the white main ult is a big deal. But bunker's still up, and that's the biggest thing here. Oh boy. Okay. So surprised Hero's Hearth got pushed back so hard. Oh, Anub had to tap. Okay. So Hero's Hearth had to back up because Anub was so chunked out. The white main ult basically made it impossible for them to engage on Team Liquid there. Top being on cooldown, yeah, but he was expecting them to just one-shot the Anubrak, but the Anubrak had the pre-shield up, and Tyrande was in range to cleanse. So now Garrosh gets to walk into a Tyrande and throw her. Double throw, in fact. Plus the stun on landing, but the follow-up is late, and it also seems like split focus, because Blaze's charge is also already down. What is Blaze trying to charge here? Is he trying to charge the Dahaka dig? He doesn't even hit that. He just solo charges the Anub without any follow-up. So Blaze's charge basically got wasted, because if it was follow-up here, this is just infinite leaving resets, and they wipe Hero's Hearth. Land Root on Anub? No, he got cleansed. So Anub just got cleansed, and then he ran away. So there was no way to do anything. Because she was... Everyone on Team Liquid that had CC was waiting for the taunt duration to get low and to be almost finished before they use their CC. And then cleanse just happens. Because, like, if Blaze has his charge on this, then Team Liquid wins the fight. But instead, the Leeming follow-up isn't even on time, and the Raynor damage, where does that go? He just misses the Q. It looks like Raynor was looking at Maiev a bit here. And his Q misses completely. So BBJ gets out, even though he's getting hit by bunker. And Tyrande's really tanky, too. Because, you know, she self-heals for... burst heals for 1,000 or so at this point. And so here, Team Liquid's down everything, including bunker. And now Hero's Hearth finally has a chance to go for a team fight. And then they get it. So yeah, it does seem like in straight 5v5s, especially when Team Liquid just has bunker up, it's almost impossible for Hero's Hearth to actually get an engage. And this is another fight where Team Liquid should have just auto-won the fight, even with taunt down. This should have just been Garrosh. Again, Garrosh should have just been saying, I caught their Tyrande with a Q, I'm going to throw her, follow up, and then there's no follow-up. Most of the Leeming Q misses, there's no Raynor follow-up on the Tyrande, and the Blaze charge is already used. Arcaner too aggressive? He was trying to kill the Tyrande. She's just the best support in the game, so she doesn't die. And then he does blink forward here. What is this? Is there any CC for him to do this off of? And yeah, Team Liquid could have disengaged again and played more slowly, but you're against a Hanzo ult plus my Ev Cage, and you have no more answers to that anymore. Every single cooldown for them was down. So I mean, even if Li Ming isn't caught so hard there, it's still just my Ev E's on top of their backline and presses her buttons, and they die. Like, if we go back, right here, even if Li Ming isn't in this, there's still Raynor still dies. He's still in the cage. He's still gonna die. White may manage to not get tethered somehow, but yeah, Raynor still dies. Even if Li Ming gets out, Raynor still dies. It doesn't matter. The fight's still over. Heroes Hearth's comp was definitely favored. I think the big thing was that Team Liquid had to make big sacrifices in the draft, picking Garrosh and Blaze as their first two picks to counteract the Maiev in team fights. Then they had to sacrifice the Tron pick. They had to sacrifice the Dahaka global pick. Maybe they should have banned it, but then again, Jaina would have been a lot stronger with this comp than Hanzo, because Hanzo could not get arrows in effectively. It was only when all of the cooldowns were down, and the one time Team Liquid overextended here, when they failed their pick off on Maiev here, and used all their cooldowns, that they got punished with the arrow. Otherwise, arrow could not really get value very easily. And the overall just, like... yeah. So, Heroes Hearth got denied on their range DPS by the Jaina ban, Raynor pick, Li Ming pick. Team Liquid got denied on their support a little bit. The White Man was still pretty effective overall. And they also got denied on the global, so they couldn't match Dahaka at all. So I think if the game was played cleaner, Heroes Hearth would just win this game with a 2-level lead, with a ton of shots advantage, with them just getting a ton of split push value out of Dahaka. But they got picked off a lot in the mid game, and that really hurt their snowballing, and it forced them into a level 20 fight where they weren't favored because their Maiev was so heavily countered. So we go back to the draft one more time. Because Team Liquid... yeah, so they banned out these two. But maybe this Jaina ban should have been a Dahaka ban. It's hard to say. Maybe this Mouth ban could have been a White Mane ban. I'm not sure. Because White Mane has the hard cleanse compared to Mouth's... Mouth's cleanse is better against the Hanzo ult, but it's a lot worse. It just doesn't do anything against a Maiev tether or a Maiev cage. And it's also not as effective against the Nubrak chains, you see. But Trank is also, like, similarly effective to the White Mane ultimate. And Malfruit is also a lot stronger CC follow-up for the Garrosh. Team did well. Team Liquid, I mean, they didn't... I mean, their Garrosh walked to people and threw them, and that was good. But that was pretty much all that they did. And it was kind of all that their comp could do, because they're against the Maiev, so all of their backline has to play safe until the Maiev does something. That's just how Maiev works in competitive. Because if Maiev gets on you with a tether, especially these two, who can't just blink away from her, you're kind of just dead. I mean, maybe you can walk up with your Blaze, but if you're still too far up and your Blaze gets cocooned, you're still just dead. That's just Maiev. Yeah, that's a third ban Jaina. It's outside to inside. So, first ban Genji and Deckard, first ban Auther and Zeratul. Because, I mean, Team Liquid, they probably had this, almost all of this draft planned out. Where they said, alright, we're going to ban these two heroes. Maybe they just said, we cannot give these heroes away on this map to Heroes Hearth, and we have to give the Maiev away. And then this will be our answer to the Maiev, which is still not perfect, but still decent. And then we'll go for a denial on either ranged or tank, depending on what Heroes Hearth doesn't pick here. So if Heroes Hearth did not pick a Nubrak here, it would have been banned here. And then Diablo would have also been a lot less effective. So they got their denial on ranged, and then, but it's still, the Dahaka was just the biggest issue for them, where the Dahaka global value is so insane on this map. I think, because Garrosh did good things, walking up and throwing people and taunting them, and then he did bad things, where he walked up and threw people and didn't taunt them. And then they missed kills because of that. And then White Man had good cleanses and stuff. Backline wasn't really getting caught out. Blaze had good bunkers. Looks like that's such a better tank, yeah. I said in the group stage, like, it wasn't super obvious things where Ishbu would walk in the enemy team and die for free, but it was, he would walk in the enemy team and lose a lot of his HP for free. Or he would just use his cooldowns, especially on a Nubarak where he's a very cooldown dependent hero. He would use his cooldowns before the fight started, and then the fight would start and he just wouldn't have his Q or wouldn't have his E, and that would be a big issue. And we saw it even in this game where he couldn't change Cia Li Ming when he burrowed on her because his Q was on cooldown. And then he also walked into Garrosh a couple times and died for free. So yeah. Alright, this game, again, the Abathur Zeratul bans. But this time Team Liquid's first pick, and Heroes Hearth has to ban the Maiev, so they get the Tyrande. And they opt into a noob Jaina against the Garrosh Hanzo. So this is really early Hanzo priority. Not really sure why you would early prioritize him. Like, I guess you're not worried about supports getting cut if you're fine with Deckard or Malf or Whitemane or whatever. And you do want to pick your Garrosh / Diablo preference, but I feel like you could get offlane preference or something here. Or maybe just pick a Raynor instead of the Hanzo. It is comfort pick for Crowan, but I don't feel like comfort picks. How do I say this? I feel like it's a weakness to have to resort to comfort picks at an international tournament. You should be able to pick whatever hero is the best for the situation, and your comfort on the hero should not be relevant. And even worse than comfort picks is you should not be just unable to play a hero, because that's even worse. So I mean, comfort pick is lesser of those evils, but Genji greater than Tyrande on this map? Yeah, probably. Genji's just, especially on this map, because this map is 100% not about team fighting. This map is a lot more about rotations, and Genji is just so insane when the enemy team can't just 5-man for a team fight, because that's his weakness, kind of a weakness, is he's not great in team fights. But if it's 1v1s, 2v2s, skirmishes, he's insane. He's the best hero in the game for it. 90%, that's not a real stat. Like, bring up their win rate on Hanzo at international tournaments, not against the bottom teams at those tournaments. The teams that go 0-10. That's a real win rate stat. Like, you can't just say, oh yeah, their win rate against against teams like Simplicity with Hanzo was 90%. Good job. Because that's not real win rate. That's not real competition. Like, sure, you happen to pick Hanzo most of the time when you play the game, and then you win most of your games because you're the #1 team in NA. And now your win rate's inflated on those heroes. That's completely irrelevant. That's not a real stat. One thing I do want to see, did they show the stat page when the game ended here? That is something I want to see. When this fight ends. Or did the casters just say it? Do they never show the stats here? That's disappointing. Yeah, I guess the casters just said, oh yeah, he had 140k damage on Hanzo. That's so much damage. And they didn't bring up the fact that Whitemane had 100,000 more healing than Tyrande as well. Yeah, they never actually bring up the stat page. That's disappointing. Comfort Blade Storms, yeah. Alright, so we're here. Heroes Hearth bans out the Haka. Team Liquid bans out the Valeera, so denying all of the flex heroes that Hami or McIntyre would play as the Skir Machine heroes on the map. Caster said. Master League has it. Okay, let's see the stats. Oh no, spoilers. Alright. He has 100k damage. Yeah, like, look at this. Look at this. Of course he's gonna have 100k damage. It's all poke damage. Whitemane heal all of it. So, like, that's it. Like, he pressed his buttons from long range, and then the support healed all of it. It's just stat inflation. Like, his teamfight damage is still going to be just as high as Li Ming or Raynor, maybe a little bit higher. Pressured her mana, yeah. He's the one losing out on the mana trade there. Ask them to pull up stats, yeah. So, I mean, this is why stats are not relevant. If you're on a poke hero, or you're against a team that's face tanking your poke, or face tanking your damage because they can sustain it, then your stats are inflated. You're against the Chen, you're going to do 20,000 more damage in the offlane, guaranteed. Do you deserve more personal rank adjustment when you're against a Chen, just because you laned against a Chen in the offlane? No. Because you aren't doing real damage, you're hitting his shields. Same thing with against the support, you're just you're just trading mana with them, if they even use mana for their healing, which white man doesn't. So basically, this 100k, something like 60% of it is just him throwing W's and Q's from long range, and then white man pressing Q and W to heal it. Tehran normally do more hero damage than the Maiev. When the Maiev is so hard countered, Tehran definitely can. I mean, like, again, this Tehran damage, at least close to 10k of this damage might be owls. Maybe 10k is too much. Close to 5k of this damage is just owls. Just completely irrelevant poke damage that might as well not even be counted. Because it hit somebody, and then they used the self-healing ability, or white man pressed a button on them, or they just had HP regen heal it, or a globe, and it healed it. So, in teamfight damage is a real stat. I would like to see teamfight damage. These stats are completely irrelevant. If McIntyre was laning against a Chen, because for whatever reason the team picked a Chen, and they were 1v1ing, his hero damage would have been 50,000 or more. Oh yeah, wow! Look at that! Look at that McIntyre doing more damage than the entire enemy team, doing more damage than his Maiev. Wow, what a great player! No, it has nothing to do with player skill. It has nothing to do with any of that. Entirely has to just do with what your hero matchups are against the enemy team. It's not a real stat that you can use to make an actual point about a player's skill level or a player's effectiveness in a game. It's completely irrelevant. Even at the end there, when right before the last fight, when he got a ton of poke damage, white man healed all of it. It was close to like 7,000 poke damage just there with some W's. White man healed all of it, so it was irrelevant. There was no result of that damage. The result was their health bars moved, and then it moved back up. There was never... The enemy team was never pressured, that they were scared to get engaged on while they were chunked out. There was never... white man ran out of mana while healing that poke, or was pressured to use a bigger cooldown to heal. Nothing. It was just Hanzo pressed W, white man pressed Q and W, and then everyone went on to play the game. Yeah, same thing with any of those. Yeah, so it's just... It's not a real 100,000 damage. I would love to see teamfight damage. That's a much more relevant stat, where you can say, in the actual fights, where the damage actually matters, because heroes are actually being pushed close to death or dying, so the white man isn't just pressing a button, negating it, how much damage do they actually do? Yeah, white man running out of mana Kappa. Same with Tehran running out of mana. If Tehran was against the Hanzo, then Tehran would have had the 100k healing. It doesn't make BBJ 1/3 the skill level of support as Nurok. That's completely irrelevant. That's just the stupidest stat I've ever seen. And I feel like casters should not be quoting those stats because they are irrelevant. They're just misleading and not actually relevant, not actually indicative of skill level or performance on a hero. Another big factor, like game duration. Another big factor, map. There's so many factors that go into it beyond hero skill level for a stat like this. So, it's just never quote me hero damage stats ever again. And unfortunately, I can't say I'll ban people that do it, because not everyone that watches my stream right now will watch my stream again. There will be different viewers. Maybe I should add that to the stream description, or like the chat warning that pops up when you start chatting, is if you ever quote blanket stats like hero damage to me, I will ban you. Maybe that should be a thing. Should be pros who didn't make BlizzCon and such people. Depends on the pros, because some pros are better analysts than others. Like, because they had like third guy, fourth guy, and fifth guy. One of them was like Cothenluck. Cothenluck was good at it. Glaurung was not good at it. And it's just, is the person good at it, or are they just there to also be a talking head that doesn't really say anything super valuable? I don't know. So we're here. So Valeera, Zeratul, and Abath are all banned, which means that there's no real good skirmisher. Fan was good at it. Fanya was decent at it too, yeah. So there's a Blaze, sure, and there's a Deckard. All right. So I mean, those are some heroes. But how does Heroes Hearth actually win the game? This is the question. You have these 4 heroes, and you have one more flex pick, which is going to be, I don't know. There's no assassins left. All of the like melee assassins are gone, unless you're going to play Kerrigan, which is ridiculous into that. You're going to get hard countered in one shot every single time. You don't even have a cleanse or a burst support. So you're not picking Kerrigan. So there's no melee assassin to play. So at this point, what are you picking here? What's your last pick that actually makes you win the game? Because with these 4 heroes, what do you do? In the early game, sure, Blaze sits top and soaks. You have a person sit mid, maybe probably this hero sits mid and soaks. You have your 2 or 3 men sit bottom and soak. Then you do some camps, and you clear some camps, and then what? Then you get to level 10, and then suddenly this Anubrak, Jaina, Tyrande are roaming around the map with their map hacks, while they have, I don't know, no Dahaka to soak, but something else coming up to soak. Yeah, like, this could just be a Phoenix, and he sits mid and soaks. But then, so what do you do? How do you win the game when you get to level 10 without an advantage, because your comp has no early game advantage? You get to level 10, these 3 heroes are roaming around the map, the other 2 heroes pick up minions, or 1 hero, depending on the picks, and then they have map hacks, so you can never catch them out anymore. You have weak map hacks, so you can't scout all the rotations, and then suddenly you can't soak your lane safely. Suddenly your Blaze can't be top lane by himself, soaking the wave. Suddenly, if they send their safe hero bottom, which could be, I don't know, a Samuro or some garbage like that, goes bottom, caps the bottom cap, while top cap is capped by their other offlaner, or their other laner, and your Blaze feels unsafe because you have no clue where these heroes are, then what do? Do you just give away a DK? You just have to sit as 5 for mid lane for the rest of the game because you can't do anything? Because as soon as you leave mid as 5, Tyrande owls you and map hacks you and they engage on you? What do? I don't know. I don't know what this comp does on this map, honestly. Like, it's pro play. You don't just walk into the enemy team in 5v5, and you don't just, I mean, you got a Hanzo ult. That's the extent of what Heroes Hearth can do for pick-off pressure around the map. And you got a Garrosh, but he's against Tyrande, so he's hard countered on this map. Honestly, he's hard countered. Tyrande will just map hack him every single time he goes anywhere. Like, what do you do? What do you do? You're just gonna wander around the map and get out-rotated the entire time. That is pro play in China. Pro play. All their pro players went to Arena of Valor, the mobile League of Legends game. I mean, like, maybe you have some kind of a setup where you do an early night camp with your Hanzo at level 4, and then you try and push with it, and then your Blaze defends bottom, but then they probably have an Arel to defend that night camp, or they could just rotate up because they're better at doing camps than you because they have a Jaina. So I don't know. This comp doesn't do anything, basically. That's something that I've come to understand when watching teams play this map and playing this map more, is it's similar to Braxis, but it's not as extreme as Braxis, where at a certain point, unless you have a man advantage or you have some kind of a significant rotation or vision advantage, you can't just get the objective. You aren't going to cap both points at the same time and be mid. So you're going to have to soak your lanes effectively and be able to do stuff while soaking your lanes, or punish the enemy team while they're soaking their lanes and being split up. And if your comp doesn't do that, or can't do that, then your comp doesn't do anything. I don't know, maybe this should be a Dahaka. Maybe then their comp does something. Maybe then they can have an early game advantage with the dig, and then their Dahaka can soak the lane top while they 4-man bottom or something. It can lose? Yeah, it can sit there and lose while the enemy team picks Vikings, because that's what's going to get picked here. So, the enemy team, so what's going to happen here? There's a Vikings. So now, with the Vikings, even from level 1, Team Liquid will run around the map as 4, just like a bunch of monkeys running around the map, looking to one-shot somebody, and none of your heroes can survive it, because you don't got a cleanse. Your Garrosh can't survive that, because his support is weak, and he's not going to be grouped with his team all the time. So, there's 4 monkeys running the map, doing merc camps, clearing minion waves, and ganking your heroes. So your Blaze can't sit top by himself that easily, unless he sits under his wall. Have fun with that. Your Garrosh can't gank anybody, because there's map hacks, and they're going to be as 4 the entire time. And even if he does find somebody, before level 10 he can't kill either of these 2 heroes. He just doesn't do anything to them. He doesn't even do anything to Jaina before level 10. But she has a Tron cleanse with her. So, all they do is sit and soak their lanes until they get a Hanzo ult, and then hope that they Hanzo ult, like, not these 2 heroes, because they can both dodge it, and then not the Jaina, because Tyrande will cleanse it, so they have to Hanzo ult the Tyrande, and then somehow follow up on it without getting counter-engaged or disengaged from during the Hanzo ult stun, and then find a kill before then. Because the other thing that these heroes can't do is they can't do anything to the Vikings. They can't even kill Vikings with this comp. Like, you don't even need Tyrande map packs for Vikings to not die to a Garrosh, to be honest. Samuro over Blaze? Anything. Anything but the Blaze that doesn't really do anything. Like, Blaze is a team fighting hero, and he can double soak. Oh, like, it's a Phoenix. So your comp does nothing. The game's going to get to a point where you're going to have to run it down a lane, because you can't soak your lanes. Because if you're soaking, if Blaze is split soaking a lane, your 4v4 doesn't even win. They picked their first 3 heroes to win the 4v4 and the 3v3, to have the one shot, to punish these heroes. Or just to be able to do something, to have pick-off potential. And, yeah. Greymane be better than here than Phoenix? No. Not really. They have map hacks. They know if you're doing a camp with your Greymane, or if you're setting to push with a camp with your Greymane, or cheese a wall. You don't even have the noob with it. So you show up at a wall with your Greymane, and they don't even have to have their whole team show up. They could have 2 heroes show up, and the Greymane can still die, because you still have to be soaking your lanes. There's still Vikings in every single lane, bribing out camps and being cancerous. Thrall might be good. I mean, he has Sunder, I guess. I guess. Yeah, I have seen the results of these games. I did watch these games more. Greymane's not even that much better for macro than the Phoenix. I mean, we could pull up Master League right now. Let's do that. Let me make sure that I pause the stream. So, let's go to Master League. Let's go to tournaments. Let's go to HGC Finals. Let's go to, I guess, drafts. No, let's go to matches then. Where do I go to just see matches? No, I want to just see matches on Dragonshire. Can I click on Dragonshire? Does that do it? Here we go. Alright, so we got this match that happened. We got this match. Who won this game on Dragonshire? Genji did. Genji's the better team, so we can't really take that one. Heroes Hearth won on Dragonshire. What did they have? Comp that didn't do anything. Why did they win this game? Because they just won a team fight. The one was ahead in this map for a really long time because they had this Genji, and they had the Junkrat Global. I remember this game decently, where Heroes Hearth, it got to a point, even just against the Genji, not even against the Lost Vikings and stuff like that, where they had to 5-man it down lane, because they could not let Blaze split by himself to soak. They even had the map hack advantage, but it doesn't matter against Genji. It got to a point, Blaze could not soak the side lane by himself, they had to run around the map as 5, occasionally picking up a side lane soak that was pushing into their buildings, and then they just ran it down a lane, and that's the only reason they won, because this team feeds. This game, Tempo Storm. This was a game where Dahaka was feeding while they were slow sieging with Sergeant Hammer, and other people were feeding too. This game, Dignitas won. They had the team that could roam around the map and get kills with this 3-man, while they held lanes with the other 2, and the Maiev pressure just was too much in the early game, and it snowballed. And then these 2 games involve a 0-10 team, so it doesn't matter. Not very many games played on Dragonshire, to be honest. I mean, the big game where I'm drawing those conclusions on beyond this game is the game that Heroes Hearth played against the one, where they had a lot of trouble dealing with just a Genji and his map pressure. That it put them in the same situation that they get into in this game. So, they can't kill Vikings. They can't, like, have a Zeratul or a Genji go and kill Vikings in a lane and then force Team Liquid to rotate someone to soak it. Because even if, let's say Heroes Hearth goes insane, and they start running at the Vikings with all 5 heroes, even doing that, it takes them, like, 10 seconds to kill a Viking, and then they do that again. They have to rotate across the map, 5 to 10 seconds. They chase another Viking around for another 10 seconds or so. By then, this Viking's already almost done to respawning. So even if you're like, YOLOing around the map as 5, chasing down Vikings, you're not even denying them from soaking, whereas a Zeratul by himself would be more effective than this for doing that, or a Genji by himself would be more effective. So Team Liquid doesn't want a 5v5 mid when they only have a 4, so they're going to fast clear bottom. Anubrak holding the flank, he cannot, if there's only 4 heroes, he probably should not be able to die to a Garrosh throw. Yep, he even gets the burrow out before the Garrosh Q, so there's no way for Decker to chain CC. So there's the fast clear. Vikings catching waves. And the big thing, these lanes are so close together that Phoenix cannot push. You can see here, Phoenix is trying to push a bit with his first wave, because Heroes Hearth is kind of delaying them. Team Liquid leaves. What's Phoenix do? He has to run. He's getting chased. He sneaks into a corner. He actually gets out in this corner. That's actually kind of surprising that a hero as big as Phoenix can actually fit into here without being visible through this angle here or through this angle here. Actually pretty surprising. Maybe Team Liquid didn't send their heroes right to here to get this vision here. They only went like this. So he escapes, but he's not going to pull that off multiple times. So, and that was only a few auto attacks. We go back here. How much damage did Phoenix do? So here the wave just got finished getting cleared, and he ran up. So he like auto attacks a couple times and maybe gets some Q damage off, and he immediately has to leave. And that's with Team Liquid being delayed on finishing this wave and their rotate. This is a really nice corner. This is something they might have even like told him about or specifically practiced with him to make sure that he could do that. Or he might have just learned it in Hero League, just a mechanical thing. I am surprised that Phoenix could do that. Like, if that's a Tyrande or a Tracer or a really small model hero, it makes sense that they could fit in there. But a really, really big model hero does not seem as possible. But Team Liquid isn't even expecting that. It's just so so random that the Phoenix just like runs up into this bush and suddenly disappears right after they run into the bush a couple seconds later. They run all the way up to the top lane to try and find him, and they don't even find him. Because he wasn't mounted either. But the other thing, too, is right here, when he starts running up, if he immediately mounts on getting into the bush, and then runs up, I think he does mount. No, he doesn't even mount. I think he cancelled his mount up. But if he mounts up and just runs up, he would just get out as well. But that is fancy. Could KT or Diablo? Probably not. Not saving Owl? Where was the Owl? I think they're just not expecting him to be in here, honestly. They just have no idea that he's in there at all. But it doesn't matter. Alright, that's how much damage Phoenix did. And the minion wave did a lot of damage too. But the minion wave's always going to do that much damage to the gate, which is about half of it. Because this is the worst wave clear Viking. And this should probably be swapped, because it is against Blaze top. And Blaze is the one that you really need to be preventing the push from. Because basically, the way Team Liquid has set this up, in the early game, they will be 4-man rotating mid and bottom until they do camps. And while that's happening, there will be a very small amount of time for Phoenix to maybe push mid, and Blaze will have a lot more time to react if Team Liquid rotates all the way top. So Blaze will be able to push top a lot more aggressively. So that's why the green one is top, the red one's on the point because he's the one that can't get pushed off by Blaze or killed, and then that just leaves the melee one to be stuck mid. Could he eat over to Bruisers? Yeah, there's a few ways that he could have gotten out there without the Owl. I think the Owl maybe could have been used because there is that possibility of a thing. I don't know. It's not even that important for Team Liquid to get that kill. It's not a big deal. It would be a big deal if they got the kill, but it's not like they lose the game because they didn't. So now, map hacks, they see that Heroes Hearth had to bring heroes mid to soak.